Welcome to the Career Coffee Chat Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Urban, and I'm a certified career strategist, executive coach, helping people advance their careers. Most importantly, helping people, emerging leaders and evolving leaders, remove career roadblocks so you can achieve more impact, income, and influence. You can find more about me at coachurban.com. And of course, check out the podcast on all the major channels including Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, who knew, as well as YouTube. And if you are listening to the podcast, please feel free to give us a thumbs up, a like, and or leave a comment. It's much appreciated. And I take your reviews and comments very seriously. Speaking of, when you're tuning into the live show, please say hi, say your name, say where you're from. I'd love to welcome you to the live show and most importantly, answer any questions that you have. Hi, Jesse, tuning in from Fulshear, Texas today. Jesse wants to know, like all of you probably listening to the show today or listening to the live or listening to the podcast later, what matters when it comes to increasing your performance and your productivity? You might think that working super long hours and flogging yourself plus 8 hours a day and working and late hours at night and all that's going to make you very productive and achieve those goals. Guess what? Not so much. So I'd love to hear from you as you tune in. What is your top struggle when it comes to trying to find that secret sauce that makes you stand out as a peak performer and staying at the top of your game? Because you'll be very surprised to hear that it is not indeed working all hours and trying to flog yourself into the grave, if you will. So today we are talking all about productivity hacks, getting your life back and staying at top of your game. So let me know if this is you. You might think to yourself, oh man, at the end of the day, I just really don't feel like I got anything done. When someone asks you, how was your day? You're like, well, I'm not really sure. I did a lot of things. I'm not sure what I got done today. Let me know if that feels like you. Sometimes, I think we've all been there. Maybe you might think at lunch, gosh, it's already noon and I'm not even sure where the morning went. Or you might think, I never have any time for myself. If that sounds familiar, guess what? You're in the right place. Wishing won't make this change. Knowledge will. So I want to help you walk down this journey with me and discover some of the top tactics, not only that I share with my clients, but these things I do myself to stay top of my game. And what you might be surprised to hear is my most top performing days, when I'm at the peak performance levels and getting the most things done and really knocking it out of the park, as we say here in America, is when I do the least amount of work. So it truly is all about staying in your zone of genius and getting your life back. What I see is, particularly when we went from working in the office to working at home, we were thinking that we're going to trade that commute in for all this free time in the mornings to get exercise, to do things, and some people did. But what I find is a vast majority of individuals did not. In fact, they traded that time for more work. And what's happening is their productivity and their peak performance is actually decreasing. It may sound surprising, but yes, the more you work, the less productive you are. There, I said it. The more you work, the less productive you are. So let's talk about that sweet spot, what I call your zone of genius, which really honors not only your strengths, but your energies, and most importantly, helps focus your brain to peak optimal performance. So let me know as you hop on the show. If you have any questions, most importantly, give me a shout out, say hi, say where you're from, because I'd love to welcome you. Hi, Cornisha, great to see you, tuning in from Spring, Texas. Jesse says, try to prioritize. Jesse's full of great information, ladies and gentlemen. He is wonderful. Try to prioritize the night before, but then the next day, it seems like I might get lucky and get one of the things done I meant to get done. Okay. Well, you're on target with prioritizing the night before or the day before, you wrapped up the day. He says, I may be still productive, but not what I planned or expected. Right. So what I'd love to know, Jesse, is how many things got on your list that night before. So share with me, if you don't mind, in the comments, how many items do you put on that list? Is it a laundry list? You know, something as long as your arm? What do we have here? What's going on? So let me know how many items, because it matters. I've done a lot of research and study into what actually happens during our days and how many significant things we can get completed. While I'm jumping ahead a little bit in the show, I want to let you know that's probably not as much as you think, because we need to leave some room for life to happen. So Jesse says 3 to 5 things. Well, if you're being honest with yourself, Jesse, do you feel like if you write down 4 to 5 things, if you get 3 of them completed, how does that make you feel? So Jesse's just shared to me he has 3 to 5 things on his list. So if you only get 3 things completed, Jesse, how does that make you feel, particularly if you have 4 to 5 things on your list? Well, I'd love to know how that makes you feel. Because what I found is I did a lot of research. So I'm Lean Six Sigma Black Belt in continuous improvement. So of course I did research. I actually did a project on this because I found that at the end of the day, I had a laundry list, a whiteboard, I wrote everything down. At the end of the day, I would walk away from the office feeling like, okay, I got a few things done, but I still have all these other things to do. I just really wasn't feeling productive. So I said, okay, well, how can I change this? Okay, one of the things we need to understand is it's not that our list of things to do is suddenly going to decrease astronomically overnight. And if it does, yeah, we might need to be concerned about our job longevity. So if you find yourself with nothing to do at work, well, you might want to be looking for another job. Irregardless, the list of things to do, we love this to-do list, tends to keep adding. These things kept getting on it. Now, I first of all like to remove the word to do, because that implies that we're going to get to it at some nebulous time in the future. I call it an action list, or just list. Don't put any framework around it. Don't set up our minds that we're going to get to it eventually. Just call it a list. Out of that list, what I do is I choose 3 most important tasks the day before. So at the end of my business day, I'll choose 3 tasks. Now, Jesse's sharing with me, he said, perhaps some of it is that I'm not specialized. I'm a jack of all trades. So if you're wearing a lot of hats, yes, you can certainly feel pulled here, pulled there, over here, and you never really feel like you're focusing on something and getting something done. He said, I'm in HSE, accounting, service, quality, lean products, IT, etc. And there are issues with people just like us, diverse in jobs and tasks. Yes. So to answer your question, yes, you can help manage all this. So what I would ask is, first of all, don't put 5 things on your list, because you're just not going to get 5 things, significant items, completed. Chances are, if it's on your list and it made it onto your most important list the day before to tackle the next day, they're significant items. 5 won't happen. 3 may happen. What I found is, through all the research that I've done, if you only put 3 items on your list to be, and they're significant items, they're not just, oh, remember to take out the trash, right? We're talking about significant items, 3 significant items per day. Likelihood is you'll actually get those completed. If you try to put 4 and 5, you may not get all of those completed. It's oftentimes the no. You don't get those completed. Now, to speak to your challenge, Jesse, you're in a lot of places at once. You're all over the place. I would help, see if you can plan your day. If you are literally in 5 different places every day, is it every day? So try to find a map for yourself. What I do is I like to map out my week. Okay, clearly I'm not going to be writing an article every single day, for example. I'm not going to be working on my book every single day. Some authors do, and that's fine. Whatever works for them. So I have certain days I do certain things. Like if I'll do my social media type work, I'll do my live show on Tuesdays. I have certain days I do certain things. So I would ask you, Jesse, do you need to be in HSE, accounting, quality, and lean every day? Or maybe it's accounting on Mondays and Fridays. Or maybe I need to be in HSE Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. See if you can map it out. And the reason I encourage you to create a map for yourself is decreases the I'm here and I'm there and I'm over here and I'm over there, and you're being pulled all these different places all the time, and your brain can't focus on any one thing to get it to a sense of completion. Make sense? So if you can map out your day, if you're wearing multiple hats, you're in several different departments, see if you can map out your week and or your day. Let's just say you've got HSC, lean projects, and quality, and they're all happening on Tuesday. All right, well, you visit HSC first thing in the morning, maybe right before you leave, and then lean is before lunch, and quality is right after lunch. You have buckets of time, and it's kind of scheduled, okay, given in mind that, we have meetings, and we can't always schedule all of our time, but we can schedule a lot more of it than we give ourselves credit for. In fact, I was wanted to do something with my husband to focus on something during the work week, which is a challenge for both of us. We're both very, very busy. So, okay, well, we need to do this around lunch. Well, I don't know if I can do that. That's his response. I was like, okay, do you have a meeting? Well, no. Do you have anything on your calendar? Well, no. So at this point, I'm going, why are you telling me you don't know if you can do it? I was like, okay, help me understand why you feel like you can't do it. Well, somebody might schedule something. All right. Rule number 1, you own your calendar. Nobody else does. And if you don't own your calendar, somebody else will. So please own your calendar. It is your calendar, not the company's calendar, not the team calendar, not your boss's calendar. It's your calendar. Please start owning your calendar. You set up your day, because if you don't, someone else will. Rule number 1, you don't own your calendar, somebody else will. And then you'll be like my husband, well, I don't know if I can do that. Do you not own your calendar? I said, let me show you something, honey. I said, you can make a meeting and block out time for yourself to do something. I went in and I was like, all you have to do is create a meeting for yourself. Block out that time. Well, okay. He's so available. Bless him. He's that guy. He's like, oh, you want me to do something? Sure. He's not the master of his own time. So we're working together to help him be more the master of his own time. You own your time. And know that, give yourself some space and grace. You're only going to get 3 significant things completed a day. Trust me, I've done the research. The data is in. You're welcome to try to do your own little project to see if you can figure out how many significant things you can get completed in a given day. I encourage you to write it on a 3x3, or there's one of the little sticky notes. That way, it's in big writing. You don't have much room to add anything else. So that's a quick tip. Thank you, Jesse, for asking that. If anybody else has any questions about what you struggle with, what is your top just irritation when it comes to getting things done and being productive? For some of us, it's being interrupted. I know I was working with one of my clients. She's an executive, and she says, I just have all these time wasters. They just pop into my office, talk to me about whatever is on their mind, and they just keep going on, and oftentimes it's the same thing every week. Let me know if that sounds familiar to you. You have time wasters that just kind of pop up. Maybe not so much if you're not in the office, but if you are in the office, you might have people that are just time wasters. And particularly if you're in a leadership position, you want to be available, but not too available. So what I do is I help set a positive and pleasant expectations for these people. And they pop into your office, go, hi, great to see you. I have 5 minutes. What do you need? You set an expectation of how much time you're going to be available. Trust me, if you don't set that expectation, people will take advantage of your time. Particularly those people we call time wasters, who just sit there and they go on and on and on and about the same thing. If you're a leader and you feel comfortable doing so, if you're a peer and feel comfortable doing so, or if you're just a friend lending a 5-minute ear to someone, you say, gosh, this seems like the same topic we talked about last time. Now, did you try what I suggested? And if they continually do not do anything about whatever the issue is they're just wasting their time with you on, you can kindly suggest that they try something and then come back to you when they actually have given whatever your suggestion was a try. Because these people are addicted to complaining. Yes, that's true. It's actually a thing. People actually become addicted to negative emotions. People can become addicted to all kinds of things, but emotions are one of them because they're a chemical mix inside of our bodies. Feeling good is a chemical mix, feeling bad is a chemical mix, and some people are addicted to complaining. And you know who I'm talking about if you have someone in your life. So let's talk about what some of the key tactics are I share with my clients, and feel free to chime in. Let me know what your questions are. What do you struggle with, particularly if I talk about something that resonates with you. And if you're watching this later, feel free to pop your questions in the comments or send me a direct message. So number one, when it comes to productivity hacks, practice well-being. Here's the thing. I've been on this soapbox, this diatribe for a little while now. Get sleep. People do not get enough sleep. If you were to be brutally honest with yourself, chances are on an average daily basis, you don't give yourself enough sleep. You will shove it aside to watch your favorite show, or maybe you stayed up a little too late watching those funny cat videos on YouTube, whatever it is. Or maybe you're that person that's working 15 hours a day. Stop it. You're not giving yourself enough sleep. I've heard this many, many times. Well, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Chances are if you continue to do that practice, you'll be dead a lot sooner than you want to be. So please get enough sleep. Sleep is extremely important. It's one of the key foundational elements of living. One is breathing, one is eating, and the other one is sleeping. Okay? We need these things to survive. And what's interesting is we continually short ourselves on one of the things we need to survive. It seems pretty silly, but I think maybe we take it for granted. Now in our luxury society, we have all these things. We just take one of the key foundational things for granted. Now, what happens if you don't get enough sleep? Well, if you suffer from any sort of sleep deprivation, you cannot be as productive or stay at the top of your game. It's just simply impossible. Your brain is being deprived of much needed sleep and rest and restoration. When it's being deprived of these things, you may suffer from mood swings, cranky or more grumpy than usual. You may struggle, you kind of feel like you're in a fog a lot when you're trying to think. So it's just going to take you a lot longer to get even most simple tasks done. You may even find that you're more forgetful. So what I encourage you to do is manage your sleep cycle. And I wrote a great article about that on my blog, on my website. You can find it at coachyurban.com under news and articles. It's one of my most current articles out there about the importance of sleep. And I give you a very comprehensive rundown on how you can, and most importantly, what to look for, manage your sleep cycle, because it's important. So let's just talk about one of them. And one of them is managing your brain waves. Because oftentimes we'll hop out of bed and be already thinking 5,000 things, or if you were like me for many months, I would wake up with this deep sense of anxiety because of that list that never seemed to end. Well, we have to manage our brain waves. So I encourage you before bed, if you tend to be that person who listens to really great music. My husband has this wonderful system and he loves to play this great music, very energizing music late at night. And he only does that when I'm not around because it's just too much. It gets me all wound up, and then it takes me forever to wind down to go to sleep. Also, movies that get you really wound up and the adrenaline pumping, probably not the best way to wind down and go to bed. I know, super disappointing, and maybe watch your movies a little bit earlier in the evening, because if you do it right before bed, your brain needs time to calm the brain waves. Your body needs time to process the adrenaline and get all that out of your system before you can actually have restful sleep. So avoid adrenaline pumping activities right before bed. Think about what would help you wind down before you go to bed. Me, it's a hot cup of tea and a good book, or those cat videos on YouTube. Just kidding about the cat videos. But yeah, I do like funny animal videos. I can't deny it. There's so much going on in the world. Sometimes I just need brain candy. So it helps me wind down and feel good before I go to bed. And wind up at the beginning of the day. Manage your inputs. If you are feeling strongly angry and anxiety and having a lot of anxiety about the world's worries at the moment, perhaps you could consider that you might want to change your inputs, right? So take, for example, I had one of my clients and he was like sharing with me all this anxiety and frustration he was having about the state of the world and the particularly state of his company and how the leadership wasn't doing what they should be doing. And I asked him, we'll call him Michael. I said, Michael, what do you listen to in the morning when you go to work? He goes, oh, well, I listen to this radio show that talks about, the state of the world and how basically everything's going to heck in a handbasket. I was like, okay, I have something you could try. You could try not listening to this show first thing in the morning and for about a week and see how you feel. After a week, he came back. He's, actually, I feel much better. I feel more calm because I'm not as upset. I'm not as anxious. I'm not frustrated as I was when I was listening to this show every day. So if this is you, if you turn on the news first thing in the morning and listen to everybody that's got shot over the night or what's going on or this terrible thing, it's not that we're trying to stick our head in the sand. That's not the point. I get my news in other ways. I like to read it, but that's just me. You might want to manage your inputs in the morning because it sets the tone for the rest of your day. And if you don't believe me, just try setting the tone for the rest of your day in the morning and see what happens. It works. So if you set your tone in the morning for the rest of the day, it tends to flow throughout the day. However, as I will share later, we do need to take strategic pauses to make sure we're adjusting and aligning and aligning with where we want to go. Now, Jesse got the jump on things, but we want to set our priorities. And as he mentioned, he was right on the money. You want to set your priorities the day before. So for the next day, at the end of that day, you want to think about what you need to accomplish the next day. And again, as we just shared, please don't make it a list of 5, 6, 7 things. It just probably won't happen. Don't wait till the morning of. You'll probably only accomplish about 3 significant things. Now, these are significant because they actually made it on your list, so chances are they mean something. And if one of these 3 things is going to take all day, then that's all you're going to get done. I don't know why we live in this illusion that we have so much more time than we actually do. So be realistic with your time because you need to leave room for life. Life happens. Phone calls, last minute meetings. Oh gosh, I really need your help with. Happens every day. So we need to leave room for that. Okay. And you can leave a list, and please do keep a list of everything that you need to accomplish in general in a place that makes sense for you, whether it's on your computer, whether you're a person who likes to write it down, whatever makes sense for you, as long as it's manageable and actually works, that's great. Just don't look at it all the time. Look at it once a day. That way you can say, okay, these are some things I need to get on the priority this week. Maybe you can plan out your week. Some people do. Some people have a high level plan for the week. And if that's you, that's great. But keep in mind, 3 significant things a day. So let me know if any of this has resonated with you or if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. Also, check your progress throughout the day and the week. You want to check your progress for short-term goals every week. You want to check your progress for long-term goals at least once a month and check in with your overall career trajectory and supporting activities at least quarterly, because that's oftentimes one thing that we severely neglect. And then several years go by and we go, oh, I really haven't thought about my career path. Yeah. We need to think about these things. I encourage you to reflect upon that at least once a quarter because that will help you be more strategic about which projects, activities, etc. that you actually engage in. And also make sure you don't miss on any important opportunities, even if they're volunteering opportunities that might help you get where you want to go. Hint, hint. All right. Well, let's plow on to the next one, which is identifying your energy zone. So your energy zones are those times of the day where you have the most energy. You are more likely to be more productive, have better performance, and feel better all around and be able to focus on task-intensive projects during these energy zones. And everybody has a peak performance time. Mine is usually in the morning as long as I get enough sleep. But everybody's energy zones are different. Some people are night owls. Some people have more than one, early in the morning, late at night, mid-afternoon. So just pay attention for a couple of weeks when you feel like you have the most energy, caffeine notwithstanding, and see if you can block out that time to focus on task-intensive work. So when you are the most energetic and you have the most brain power, I would have to say, is when you want to get task-intensive work done. And remember, you own your calendar, and if you don't, someone else will. So you own your calendar. You can block out that time as long as you feel comfortable doing so if you don't have some prior arrangements with your work or something like that. So block out that time for that, your energy zone, your peak performance time. It's very, very important. Now for me, it's first thing in the morning. I block out my calendar to get things done. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes when you're a coach, and those things need to be taken care of. And I need peak performance to do it. So that's when I do my peak performance time. And everybody has a different zone. So you want to make sure you honor that and manage it. If it happens to be totally out of sync with your work, like take for example, if you get peak energy at 2 o'clock in the morning, I hope that's not you, but if you do, consider if that's because you have some weird sleep cycle, or how you can work that into your schedule if it seems to be out of sync with your work. And additionally, speaking of the brain, take brain breaks. You may have heard this before from me if you've seen my smiling face before on any of the Career Coffee Chat live shows or elsewhere where I speak and present. Take brain breaks. This is very, very important because research has shown that your peak brain performance drops off about after almost like an hour and 45 minutes to 2.5 hours. Everybody's a little different as long as you're in a healthy state. So your brain peak performance can't maintain for hours and hours and hours and hours. We think it can. We just plow right through this report or this model or whatever we're working on. We just focus on it nonstop for 4 hours. No, actually, you can't. Well, you can. However, over time, your attention will degrade, your decision-making process will degrade, and it will just simply become slower for you to make decisions and make computations and have cognitive function. Overall, degrades over time. What you want to do, and I recommend, and this is what I do, and I help my clients also do as well, take a brain break. Take a breather about 4-5 times a day. I like to take morning. Yes, the morning breakfast is a break because the break before the day sets the tone of the day. Mid-morning, lunch, not at my desk. Lunch, take a break, go outside, do something completely different. Unplug totally. I don't care if that's daydreaming, doodling, taking a walk, meditation, light exercise, habitual, loading the dishwasher. As long as it's habitual, it doesn't require your brain to think very hard on a particular topic. Now, if you think taking a brain break is breaking off to do another task-intensive project or process, that won't help you. So you need to unplug for about 15 to 20 minutes. Mid-afternoon and right before the end of the day is also great times to take those brain breaks, and that way you stay at top performance throughout the day and you don't experience that lag later on the day. So let me know if you have experienced that lag, and if you just thought it was just the food you ate, chances are it's not just the food you ate, probably a combination of several factors as well. But believe it or not, doing less is more. So if you have a question about this, or if you have any questions in general, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them, in the comments or in the chat, or later on, feel free to direct message me or leave them in the comments or in the chat. To be honest with you, it may surprise you, but my most productive days are when I dedicate up to 3 hours for exercise or personal work, particularly exercise, and I only work 4 hours on my business and the work that I do. Those days I have the most ideas, my brain is much faster and I get a lot more done. In fact, I'm considering doing that almost every day. It would be nice. I am actually considering doing a little bit more exercise in the morning every day, because what I've found is that when you do a light exercise, particularly, you increase the blood flow to the brain and your brain is a lot quicker and you need less caffeine. So that's really nice to know. I know that my most productive days are when I take this up to 3 hours to focus on exercise and personal matters, but mostly exercise, and then only work for 4 hours. Now, you may think, really, you only work for 4 hours? Well, it's 4 focused hours. Take, for example, it is actually a myth that we must grind out 8+ hours of work each day. If you are mapped to your time usage, you'll find out that you probably don't actually work all those hours unless you are doing remote work and really truly flogging yourself, in which case you probably are also suffering from a little bit of burnout as well. Pre-pandemic, we did some research and studies to find out that people only work about 4 hours a day. When you're in the office, you're talking, you're chatting, you're taking a break, you're going to a meeting, you're coming back from a meeting. So productive actual work, only about 4 hours a day. However, when we transitioned into remote work environments, we expect to then work for 8+ hours a day. And that's not truly sustainable. So what I encourage you to do is, again, pay attention to your energy zones. When do you get the most energy? Take those brain breaks to give yourself a breather. Understand what your priorities are the day before. Don't wait the day of or try to figure it out on the fly. And leave room for life. Remember, you can only complete about 3 significant things a day. Don't flog yourself. It's not sustainable. You could experience burnout, emotional unrest, anxiety are some of the common side effects. Additionally, you're just flogging a tired brain, because research has shown that you only can really focus on work for a short period of time before you need a break. It's like being an athlete. If you were to sprint for just all-out sprint, you can't keep it up for an hour. So your brain can't keep up that brain sprint for hours and hours either. So be kind to yourself, because doing less is actually more. And the more you focus on well-being, the more healthy and productive you will actually be. I know it's crazy, and it also works. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to see you tune in to the next show. If you're watching the live show, we are not going to be live over the July 4th holidays. Holidays were typically not live. But feel free to tune into the podcast again on Apple, Spotify, and quite a few that I've never even heard of, as well as Google and my YouTube channel, of course. And if you're on the podcast and you're listening in, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and or leave a review. It really matters a lot to us, and we appreciate all of that. If you're watching the live show later, feel free to pop your comments and questions in the chat and or direct message me. I'll be happy to answer them. So here's to top peak performance and hacking that performance for you to achieve the most productivity you can out of your day. And yes, less is more. Keep that in mind. And another top takeaway is, if you don't manage your calendar, someone else will, right? Great to see you, Jesse, and everybody that's tuned in today. Again, keep elevating, friends.